The source law is not something to learn, but something to remember. This audiobook unlocks the ancient truth. Life does not respond to what you want. It responds to who you are. The path begins now, not through effort, but through surrender to the eternal. The Source Law. Introduction. In the depths of antiquity, there existed a knowledge so pure, so potent, that its very essence transformed those who touched it. This wisdom did not emerge from scholarly debate or intellectual pursuit. It arose from the silent depths of existence itself. The source law, as the ancients named it, flows as the underlying current of all creation, the sacred thread weaving through every moment of manifestation. You stand now at the threshold of revelation. Not by chance or circumstance have you found these words, but through the subtle orchestration of forces beyond mortal comprehension. The universe has guided your steps, preparing you for this moment of awakening. This knowledge cannot be acquired through mere reading or study. It must be absorbed through the very fabric of your being, felt in the quiet spaces between thoughts, recognized in the depths of meditation. The source law reveals itself to those who approach with reverence, humility, and an open heart. As you journey through these teachings, you will discover that true power lies not in speaking of these mysteries, but in living them. The ancient masters knew this truth. Those who truly understand remain silent, allowing their transformed lives to speak instead of their tongues. The path before you requires discretion. These are not principles to be debated at dinner parties or proclaimed from rooftops. They are sacred transmissions, alive and aware, responding to the quality of attention they receive. In the silence of your heart, these truths will germinate, growing into understanding that transcends words. You carry within you an ancient knowing, a wisdom that has been waiting to reawaken. The source law is not new to your soul. It is a remembering, a return to what has always been. Let go of the need to analyze or categorize. Simply allow yourself to become a vessel for this timeless power. Part 1. The Whisper of Awakening. Chapter 1. The Hidden Law. In the village of Pinefield, young Ezekiel spent his mornings tending to his father's sheep. One dawn, as mist clung to the valley floor, he noticed an unusual hollow in an ancient oak tree. Reaching inside, his fingers brushed something smooth and warm. From the depths, he withdrew a medallion that seemed to pulse with its own inner light. As he held it, knowledge flooded his consciousness. Not in words, but in waves of pure understanding. The source law reveals itself in such moments of innocent discovery. It operates not through complexity, but through the simplest of truths. The universe responds to your essential nature, not your words or wishes. This primary force moves through all things, organizing reality according to the silent signature of your being. Many have sought to bend this law through force of will or desperate prayer. Yet the source law knows only the language of vibration, the quiet hum of your true state. It does not hear what you say. It feels what you are. In the space before thought, before desire, before intention, there lies the power to shape reality. This truth requires no belief, no faith, no conviction. It simply is. Like gravity, it operates whether you acknowledge it or not. Your task is not to activate it, but to align with what has always been active. In another village lived Clara, a seamstress whose hands knew the whispers of silk and wool. For years she struggled, pushing against life's fabric with her hopes and fears. Then one morning, she ceased her mental striving. She simply sat with her needle and thread, allowing her being to settle into pure presence. In that stillness, everything shifted. Orders flowed in without effort. Opportunities appeared as naturally as breath. The more she released her grip on making things happen, the more life arranged itself around her silent knowing. Clara's story mirrors an eternal truth. The source law responds to frequency, not force. When you align your inner state with what you seek, reality reshapes itself accordingly. Not through magic or miracle, but through the natural operation of the universe's most fundamental principle. Practice. Find solitude in a quiet room. Close your eyes and release all thoughts of wanting or seeking. Allow desire to emerge naturally from your depths, like a bubble rising through still water. Do not name it. Do not chase it. Simply hold it in your awareness, letting the source law work through the power of pure recognition. Remain in this silence for as long as feels right, knowing that in your stillness, the universe is already responding. Chapter 2. The Sacred Veil. In the ancient lands where wisdom whispers through stone and sky, Walter wandered with his lute, following melodies that played only in his dreams. Night after night, the same haunting tune drew him forward, until one evening, beneath a full moon's glow, he witnessed what daylight had kept concealed. A temple of shimmering alabaster, its pillars seeming to rise from moonbeams themselves. As he crossed the threshold, a voice like wind through crystal chimes spoke, "Nothing is hidden, only unseen." These words hold the key to understanding how the source law operates in your life at every moment. You stand perpetually in the presence of infinite power, yet your mind has been trained to perceive limitations. This is not a barrier to be broken, but an illusion to be recognized. The veil you perceive is not made of cloth or shadow. It is composed of thoughts, beliefs, and habitual ways of seeing that cloud your recognition of what has always been here. The source law does not hide itself from you. Rather, you have learned to look past it, like one who stares so intently at a painting that they miss its beauty. When you shift from seeking to seeing, from struggling to allowing, the veil naturally dissolves. In a quiet town lived Dorothy, whose days were spent among books, yet whose mind was filled with endless scenarios of what might go wrong. Each morning brought new worries to catalog, new fears to file away. Then one day, without conscious intent, she began imagining peace instead of planning for disaster. She didn't try to control her thoughts. She simply allowed herself to rest in moments of tranquility. Gradually, the world around her shifted. Problems that once seemed insurmountable resolved themselves with unexpected ease. She hadn't changed her circumstances. She had changed her perception. And in doing so, she aligned with the ever-present flow of the source law. Dorothy's experience mirrors your own potential transformation. You need not force the veil aside. It dissolves naturally when you cease giving it power. The source law operates through you in every moment, whether you recognize it or not. Your awareness of it simply allows you to move in conscious harmony with its flow. Practice. Find a quiet space and light a single candle. Settle yourself comfortably before it, allowing your breath to slow and deepen. With eyes softened, not straining, gaze gently into the dancing flame. As you watch its subtle movements, repeat these words with quiet certainty. I do not seek. I see. Feel their truth resonating within you. Let the veil naturally part as you remain in this state of peaceful receptivity. The flame, like the eternal light of wisdom, illuminates what has always been present. Stay with this practice until you sense an inner shift, a deepening awareness of the ever-present source law flowing through you. Chapter 3. The Ancient Mind. In the misty hills where time seems to move differently, Edwin crafted timepieces with hands that knew secrets his mind had forgotten. Night after night, strange symbols danced through his dreams. Circles within circles, spirals that seemed to breathe, triangles that held the weight of ages. Each morning he would sketch them with trembling fingers, feeling their meaning just beyond his grasp. You too carry such ancient knowing within you. These teachings are not new to your soul, though your mind may receive them as fresh revelation. The source law has whispered its truth since the first conscious breath was drawn, and those who came before you knew it as naturally as they knew the turning of seasons. In the quiet depths of monasteries and temples, wise ones carved these truths into stone, not to preserve them, but to remind those who would follow. They understood that awakening is not a journey forward but a return. You are not learning but remembering. The Source speaks in a language older than words. It communicates through the symbols that appear in your dreams, through the inexplicable knowing that rises in your chest, through the patterns you notice in nature that seem to hold deeper meaning. These are not coincidences, they are memories stirring. In a small cottage surrounded by wildflowers, Hattie spent her childhood days in conversation with what others dismissed as an imaginary friend. This presence, which she called light, shared wisdom that seemed to flow from somewhere vast and ancient. As she grew, society taught her to forget, to dismiss these conversations as childish fancy. Yet decades later, as she sat in her garden, memories of Light's teachings began to surface, teachings that matched perfectly with the eternal principles of the Source Law. Your own childhood likely holds similar treasures, moments when the veil was thinner and truth flowed more freely. The Source Law has been speaking to you all along, through intuitive flashes, through dreams that felt more real than waking, through coincidences too perfect to be chance. In quiet meditation, ask silently, "What have I forgotten that I once knew?" Let your mind drift back to those precious early years when wisdom flowed more freely. Record whatever rises from those depths, fragments of memory, feelings, or insights that surface from your innermost being. Don't judge or analyze what emerges. Some revelations may seem small at first, like scattered pieces of a greater truth waiting to be assembled. Trust that each whispered memory carries a seed of the eternal wisdom you once knew so clearly. Through this practice, you begin to reconstruct the bridge between your present understanding and those pure, unclouded perceptions of your youth. Chapter 4. The Word Before the World. In the forgotten valleys where ancient wisdom still lingers, there lived a hermit named Samuel who had not spoken a word in 30 years. Each dawn he would make his way to the sacred stones that circled his humble dwelling. There, with weathered hands, he traced invisible letters into their surface, messages that no eye could see, yet every heart could feel. Those who passed through the valley began experiencing unexpected blessings. Crops flourished without rain, ailments vanished without medicine, and joy sprang forth without cause. None could explain these miracles, yet all were connected to Samuel's silent ritual. You must understand that every word you speak sends ripples through the fabric of creation. The universe does not distinguish between casual conversation and conscious creation. It responds to all vibrations equally. Your words are seeds planted in the fertile soil of manifestation, each one growing into the reality you experience. Most walk through life scattering words carelessly, like coins tossed into a wishing well without intention. They fill the air with empty phrases, complaints, and thoughtless utterances, unaware that each syllable shapes their destiny. The power of creation becomes diluted in the ocean of meaningless speech. In the bustling marketplace of the coastal town, Ruth was known for her sharp tongue and loose lips. Her shop once overflowed with precious goods from distant lands, But as her gossip grew more frequent, her prosperity began to wane. Customers drifted away, fine silks turned to rags, and gold tarnished beneath her endless stream of words. It wasn't until an old sage passed through, purchasing nothing but offering everything, that Ruth understood. "Your words are gold," he whispered. "Why do you spend them on tales that diminish?" From that day, Ruth guarded her speech like the treasure it was. She spoke only to create, to bless, to manifest. Within months, her shop transformed, becoming a temple of abundance born from sacred silence. This tale mirrors your own journey with the power of speech. Every word that passes your lips either creates or destroys, builds or diminishes. In the space between thoughts, in the pause between breaths, lies the wellspring of true power. Silent wisdom precedes spoken truth. Practice. Begin with one sacred day of silence from sunrise to sunset. Let each unspoken word build power within you. Notice how the world shifts when you cease to scatter your energy through idle speech. Then, as the day draws to a close, stand before a mirror in perfect stillness. Take 3 deep breaths to center yourself. Speaking with absolute clarity and conviction, deliver one carefully chosen sentence. Make it a declaration of truth, a blessing, or an intention. Feel the weight and power of each word as it passes your lips. Observe how different it feels to speak with such deliberate purpose after holding sacred silence. This exercise will awaken you to the true creative force of your words. Chapter 5, Vibration is the Beginning. In a small mountain village, where mist clings to ancient stone walls, lived a violinist named Clifford. Each evening, as shadows lengthened across cobbled streets, he would stand at his window, violin tucked beneath his chin. Yet he played not melodies, but a single pure note, one that seemed to pierce the very fabric of reality. On one such evening, a widow named Margaret passed beneath his window. Her heart, heavy with grief, had turned her world gray. As Clifford's note filled the air, something shifted within her. The vibration touched not her ears, but her very essence. In that moment, her sorrow transformed into a quiet peace, as though the note had realigned her very being. You see, the source law operates not through the chaos of raw emotion, but through the precision of frequency. When you understand this truth, you begin to recognize that manifestation flows from harmony, not from the scattered energies of unchecked feeling. Your emotional state creates ripples in the universal field, but these ripples must be coherent to manifest your desires. In a distant seaside town, Betsy walked through life unknowingly broadcasting discord. Her shop failed, her relationships crumbled, and misfortune seemed to follow her like a shadow. She blamed circumstances, fate, even others, never realizing that her inner turmoil was creating a frequency that attracted exactly what she feared. Until one morning, while watching waves roll onto shore, she noticed how each followed a perfect rhythm. Something awakened in her understanding. Just as waves move in harmony, she realized her own energy could be tuned. Day by day, she learned to adjust her inner state like a musician tuning an instrument. As her frequency shifted, so did her reality. Your body is an instrument of creation. Every thought, every feeling resonates outward, touching the infinite field of possibility. When you exist in discord, you attract chaos. When you align yourself with harmony, the universe responds in kind. Practice. Begin each morning by finding a quiet space where you can be undisturbed. Sit comfortably and hum a low, gentle tone, letting it resonate deeply in your chest cavity. Feel how the vibration spreads through your body, like ripples on still water. As you sustain this sacred sound, imagine it tuning your energetic field, adjusting your frequency to align with the universal harmony. Just as a master craftsman tunes an instrument with practiced care, you are tuning the divine instrument of your being. Let this become your daily ritual of alignment, a moment when you consciously attune yourself to the cosmic symphony that surrounds you. Chapter 6: Sacred Alignment. In the quiet hills beyond the city walls, Thomas worked wood with hands that knew more than his mind. Each morning, as dawn painted the workshop in gentle gold, he would stand before his workbench and breathe deeply, allowing his spirit to settle into perfect stillness. You must understand, the law responds not to what you say you want, but to the total sum of your being. Thomas discovered this truth through the grain beneath his fingers. When his heart held joy, the wood seemed to sing beneath his tools, yielding to his touch like water. But on days when anger or doubt clouded his spirit, even the softest pine became stubborn and unyielding. This is the essence of alignment, when thought, emotion, and action move as one. Most seek manifestation through force of will alone, wondering why their desires remain distant dreams. Yet the universe responds only to harmony. When your thoughts pull toward abundance while your heart trembles in fear of lack, you create discord. When your words speak of trust while your actions betray doubt, you scatter your power. Nancy's tale mirrors this eternal truth. For years, she knelt in prayer each night, beseeching the heavens for health and vitality. Yet beneath her words of faith lurked a deep terror of illness. She ate foods that promised healing while imagining disease. She spoke of wellness while preparing for sickness. Her being was divided against itself, and so the law could not respond. Only when she learned to align her entire nature did transformation begin. She stopped fighting against what she feared and instead allowed her thoughts, feelings, and actions to flow in one direction. Her prayers became not desperate pleas, but quiet acknowledgments of what she knew to be true. Her meals became celebrations of life rather than defenses against death. Her daily choices reflected not anxiety, but trust in the perfection of universal law. Before making a request of the universe, write it with clarity and purpose. Then pause to examine your heart and ask, does this thought truly match my feeling? Does it align with the essence of who I am? My actions? Notice where discord may exist between your desires, emotions, and deeds. For the universe responds not to words alone, but to the unified energy you project. Take time to bring these elements into harmony. Let your thoughts illuminate your feelings and let your feelings guide your actions. Only then will your request resonate with the perfect frequency needed to manifest your deepest desires. Chapter 7: The Mirror of the Divine. In a small cottage at the edge of a withering garden lived Mabel, whose bitter words had become thorns around her heart. Each morning she would rise to curse the sun for being too bright, the rain for being too wet, the silence for being too loud. As her complaints grew, her world seemed to shrink. Flowers wilted at her approach, neighbors turned away, and shadows deepened in every corner of her home. One misty dawn, a beggar appeared at her gate. Despite her harsh words, he simply smiled and offered her a small mirror wrapped in faded silk. "Look deeply," he whispered, before vanishing into the morning fog. "You see, the source law operates through reflection, not reaction. What you perceive as the world's resistance is merely your own energy returning to you. The universe holds no grudge, carries no judgment. It simply mirrors back the vibration you emit with perfect fidelity." When Mabel first gazed into the mirror, she recoiled at the bitterness etched into her features. Yet as she looked longer, She began to recognize these same lines of anger in the bare branches of her garden, the same coldness in her empty rooms, the same darkness in the faces that turned from her. The world had become the living reflection of her inner state. This truth manifests equally in Howard's journey. As a preacher, he thundered about divine punishment, seeing sin and unworthiness in every face. Soon, his congregation began to judge him with the same harsh measure. Each criticism he received was but an echo of his own voice. Only when he recognized himself in their condemning eyes did his message begin to soften, and with it, the hearts of those around him. You must understand the universe does not conspire against you. It cannot. It simply reflects with absolute precision the energy you radiate. When you encounter resistance, look not for external causes but internal resonance. When difficulties arise, ask not, "Why does this persist?" but, "What within me persists in creating this?" The law teaches that your experience is not happening to you. It is happening through you. Each circumstance, each encounter, each seemingly random event carries a message about your internal state. The world becomes a living mirror offering countless opportunities to recognize and realign your energy. Practice. Each night before you rest, find a quiet moment to reflect deeply on this question. What did the world show me today about myself? Let your mind drift back through the day's events, examining each interaction, each challenge, each moment of joy or frustration as though reading messages written specifically for you. Notice the patterns that emerge. They are not coincidences, but signposts pointing toward deeper understanding. Consider how your internal state manifested these external experiences, and write down the insights that arise. This simple yet profound practice will gradually reveal the intricate ways your energy shapes the world around you. Chapter 8. Desire is Divine. In a distant village where mist clung to ancient stone walls, young Frances woke each night from the same dream. A golden door, gleaming with otherworldly light, called to her through the veil of sleep. Night after night the door appeared, yet she dared not approach, believing such visions mere folly of a lonely orphan's mind. You must understand that desire itself is a language, the voice of the source law speaking through your being. When a vision persists, when it burns in your heart with quiet intensity, it is not your ego speaking, but the universe itself marking your path. Frances sought counsel from a sage who dwelt in the mountains. That door, he told her, is your desire calling you. It is not yours to question, but to honor. Many souls stumble here, believing their deepest yearnings to be selfish or unworthy. Yet true desire, the kind that whispers in dreams and pulls at your spirit, is divine instruction manifesting through you. To suppress such calling is to resist the very current of creation. Consider Joe, a gifted healer who denied his ability to cure through touch. Such power cannot be mine, he thought, choosing instead a life of quiet resignation. As months passed, his vitality drained away, his body weakening until he could barely rise from bed. Only when he finally embraced his gift, his true desire, did health return, flowing through him like a spring released from winter's grip. This tale mirrors your own journey. What desires have you buried, dismissed as impossible or unworthy? The source law speaks through sacred wanting. When you feel a persistent call, a recurring dream, an undeniable pull toward something greater, this is not random longing. It is the universe awakening its own potential through you. Your desires are not separate from the law. They are how it moves through you, seeking expression. To honor them is to align with the current of creation itself. Practice. Take a moment now to name one deep desire you've hidden from yourself and others. Choose something that stirs both excitement and fear in your heart when you contemplate it. Write this desire on a small piece of paper, letting your hand tremble if it must. Hold the paper close to your lips and whisper your desire once, releasing it into the universe like a secret prayer. Then, with reverence, burn the paper and watch the ashes scatter. Know that the law has heard your whispered truth. It was listening long before you found the courage to speak. This simple ritual marks the beginning of your alignment with the Source Law's divine plan for your life. Chapter 9, Doubt is a Gatekeeper. In the quiet hills beyond the city walls, Morris stood guard each night, his sword heavy at his side. Strange lights danced on the horizon, whispers carried on the wind, and dreams of golden pathways haunted his sleep. Yet he turned away, convincing himself these were mere tricks of a weary mind. You now enter the sacred territory of doubt, that shadowed space between knowing and becoming. The Source Law speaks in signs and symbols, yet the mind creates 1,000 reasons to turn away. This is not weakness. It is the natural hesitation before transformation. When Morris finally collapsed in exhaustion one moonlit night, a voice emerged from the silence. Doubt is permission to pause, not to quit. In that moment, he understood that his resistance had been preparing him, not preventing him. The law does not demand blind faith. It invites careful consideration, for in doubt lies the seed of deeper knowing. Your hesitation is not a flaw. It is the soul's way of testing its readiness for power. In a distant valley, Edna, blessed with the gift of healing, struggled with similar shadows. Though her hands could ease pain and mend wounds, she feared the judgment of others. What if they mock my gift, she wondered. Yet as her doubt grew stronger, so did the signs around her. Birds landing at her window, strangers seeking her by name, dreams of ancient healing temples. Only when Edna accepted that her fear of appearing foolish was the final guardian before her true power did her gift fully bloom. The very doubt that tormented her had been protecting her, ensuring she was strong enough to bear the weight of her calling. You who now read these words may feel the stirring of doubt in your own heart. Let it rise. Watch it without judgment. For doubt does not negate truth. It refines it. Like gold in fire, your certainty becomes pure through questioning. The Source Law works not through blind acceptance, but through tested knowing. When doubt visits, treat it as a sacred messenger asking, "Are you ready to hold what you seek?" Practice. Write down a current doubt that weighs upon your heart. Place it before you and ask with genuine openness, what truth is this doubt guarding? Let the question echo in the depths of your being. Sit in sacred silence, breathing slowly until wisdom rises to meet you. For in that space between questioning and knowing, your deepest truth awaits. Trust that the answer will emerge, not from the rushing mind, but from the still waters of your soul's understanding. Allow yourself to remain in this contemplative state for as long as needed. Some truths reveal themselves like morning dew, gradually, delicately, yet with profound clarity. Others burst forth like springs from desert rock, surprising in their sudden appearance. Both are valid paths to understanding. As you wait in this sacred space, notice how your doubt begins to transform, becoming not an obstacle, but a doorway through which greater wisdom may enter. Remember that the very act of questioning is itself a form of devotion to truth, a humble acknowledgement that you are ready to receive deeper understanding. Chapter 10. The Power of Silence. In a remote mountain monastery, Lucille sought refuge from her endless chatter. Her words flowed like a river, drowning out the pain that echoed in her bones. Day after day, she filled the halls with stories, jokes, complaints, anything to avoid the silence that threatened to reveal her deepest wounds. You must understand that words can become walls, barriers erected between your soul and the source law. Each syllable spoken without purpose drains the vital energy needed for transformation. The monk Elijah, watching Lucille's suffering, placed a gentle hand upon her shoulder and whispered, "The law works in silence." He guided her to a sacred chamber where no words were permitted. At first she fought against the quiet, her body trembling with unspoken thoughts. But as days passed, something remarkable occurred. Her chronic pain began to fade. The source law operates with greatest potency in stillness. When you cease the constant commentary of mind and mouth, you allow the universe to work unimpeded. Your energy, no longer scattered through endless speech, concentrates into pure creative force. In the bustling city below, George, a seasoned lawyer, discovered this truth in his own way. Known for his sharp tongue and quick retorts, he found himself losing case after case until exhaustion forced him into silence. In the courtroom, he began to listen more than speak. In negotiations, he learned to let silence create pressure that others rushed to fill. Soon his practice flourished beyond imagination, not through clever arguments, but through the power of strategic stillness. Silence is not absence, it is presence in its most potent form. It is the dark soil from which all manifestation springs. When you cease filling every moment with noise, you allow the source law to speak through the language of synchronicity, intuition, and direct knowing. Practice. Set aside a sacred 2-hour window each day where you embrace complete stillness. During this time, eliminate all speech, screens, and external stimulation. Create a sanctuary of silence where wisdom can emerge naturally. Find a quiet space, perhaps in nature or a peaceful corner of your home, and allow the source law to speak through the language of intuition. As you practice this daily ritual, you will discover that the universe communicates most clearly when you cease trying to fill every moment with noise. Let the ancient wisdom flow through the vessel of your quieted mind. Part 2, The Path of Embodiment. Chapter 11. The Source Speaks Through You. In a secluded cottage at the edge of a mist-covered forest, Virginia sat each dawn before empty chapters, waiting, not for inspiration, for transmission. As she entered the space between thought and form, her hand would move of its own accord, inscribing verses that seemed to echo from beyond time itself. You too hold this power of divine utterance, though you may have forgotten. When you align with the source law, your words cease to be mere expressions. They become commands that shape reality itself. This is not poetry as art, but poetry as creation. Virginia discovered that the verses appearing through her spoke of events yet to manifest. Births, storms, reunions, revelations. She had become a hollow reed through which the source law whispered its intentions into form. This is the ancient truth. Pure speech, untainted by ego, becomes the very language of manifestation. In the village below her cottage lived Patrick, a humble shoemaker who worked in reverent silence. Each morning he would whisper a single blessing over his tools. Through these hands flows perfect service. Soon people began speaking of the strange healing that seemed to emanate from his crafted shoes. Children's limps corrected themselves. Elderly joints found new flexibility. Weary souls felt lighter with each step. The source law teaches that words carry vibration, and vibration shapes matter. But this power requires absolute purity of intention. Patrick never spoke of his blessings, never claimed credit for the healings. He understood that divine speech must remain sacred and rare. Your voice holds this same creative force. Each word you speak sends ripples through the fabric of reality. Yet most speak carelessly, diluting their power with idle chatter. The source law responds not to quantity but to quality, to the depth of silence from which your words emerge. Practice. Choose one sentence today that holds deep meaning for you, a truth that resonates in the depths of your soul. Speak it aloud with reverence and conviction, as if the universe itself is listening and responding. Let your words emerge from a place of profound stillness within, rising from that sacred reservoir of wisdom that dwells in your heart. Feel their vibration resonate through your being as you give them voice, allowing each syllable to carry the full weight of your intention. Notice how the very air around you seems to shift and align with the power of your conscious speech. Trust that this single intentional utterance carries more power than 1,000 casual words spoken without purpose, for it springs from the wellspring of divine truth within you. In this practice of sacred speech, you begin to understand the ancient art of commanding the creative forces that shape reality itself. Chapter 12, The Sacred Yes and No. In a small schoolhouse painted the color of morning light, Geraldine stood before her class each day, her smile masking an ever-growing exhaustion. Though respected by all, she had become a vessel emptied by endless giving, saying yes to every request until her own light dimmed to a flicker. You see, the source law responds not only to what you embrace, but to what you release. Each boundary you draw becomes a sacred declaration to the universe, shaping the energy that flows through your life. When you say yes from obligation rather than truth, you muddy the waters of manifestation. One autumn morning, as golden leaves scattered across the schoolyard, Geraldine felt something shift within her soul. When asked to lead yet another committee, she spoke 2 quiet words that changed everything. Not now. The words emerged not from defiance but from alignment with her inner truth. Within days, unexpected opportunities began appearing. A grant for her dream project, an invitation to teach advanced studies, a chance to write the curriculum she had long envisioned. In a distant city, Albert traveled from door to door, selling wares with rehearsed charm and hollow promises. His pockets were full, but his spirit was empty, until the day he refused to sell an inferior product to a trusting elderly woman. "I cannot recommend this," he said simply, speaking from his heart for the first time in years. Though he lost the sale, something profound shifted. His authentic no became a magnet for genuine yes. Quality suppliers sought him out. Loyal customers multiplied, and his business transformed through the power of truth. These tales mirror an eternal principle. Every choice you make is a vibration sent into the field of infinite possibility. When you say yes from fear or no from spite, you create discord. But when your choices align with your soul's truth, you activate the law's most potent power, authentic creation. Practice. Today, say no to one thing you usually tolerate, perhaps an obligation that drains your energy or a commitment that no longer serves your highest good. Let this not arise from wisdom rather than resistance. Then, listen deeply to what your soul has been whispering, that quiet voice often drowned out by the noise of daily life. Say yes to something your soul longs for, whether it's dedicating time to a cherished creative project, reaching out to someone who inspires you, or simply sitting in sacred silence. Through this practice of conscious choice, you begin to align your actions with your authentic truth, and in doing so, you activate the law's transformative power in your life. Chapter 13, Shadows of the Mind. In the quiet depths of night, Eleanor's hands would glow with healing light as she tended to those who sought her aid. With each miracle that flowed through her, a shadow of doubt grew darker in her heart. The more powerful her gifts became, the more she questioned her worthiness to wield them. You must understand that the source law operates with perfect precision. It cannot give what you secretly believe you do not deserve. Your conscious desires may reach toward the stars, but if your hidden beliefs whisper, "Not for me," the universe must honor that deeper truth. Within you lies a vast network of unconscious agreements, contracts written in the ink of past wounds, childhood messages, and unexamined fears. These hidden beliefs shape your reality more powerfully than your spoken wishes or earnest prayers. In Eleanor's darkest hour, as she contemplated abandoning her healing work altogether, a figure of shadow and starlight appeared in her dreams. "You cannot hold what you secretly hate," it whispered, revealing the core truth that had eluded her. She had been fighting her own power, believing herself unworthy of such divine connection. Stanley, a baker whose bread brought joy to all who tasted it, found himself trapped in a cycle of near success. Each time prosperity approached, his business would mysteriously falter. The source law was reflecting back to him his deepest belief, that wealth would corrupt his simple happiness. Only when he faced the childhood memory of his father's warnings about rich folk did he understand the root of his resistance. The law of attraction responds not to your hopes, but to your knowing. When you harbor unconscious beliefs of unworthiness, lack, or fear, these become the blueprint from which the universe builds your reality. Yet these shadows need not be permanent. They exist only until light is shined upon them. Your task now is to become an archaeologist of your own consciousness. What beliefs lie buried beneath your desires? What ancient agreements still bind your energy? The source law awaits your discovery and dissolution of these hidden contracts. Practice. In meditation, ask, "What belief within me says I do not deserve what I seek?" Write the first thought that comes, without judgment or hesitation. Let your pen flow across the page as your inner wisdom speaks. This simple act of witnessing your own thoughts will begin to dissolve the very beliefs that bind you. Remember, the answer that emerges is not your eternal truth, but merely a shadow ready to be transformed by your conscious awareness. Return to this practice daily until you feel the old beliefs losing their grip on your spirit. As you engage in this sacred excavation, remain gentle with yourself. The beliefs you uncover may have served as protection in the past, but now they are ready to be released. Some may trace back to childhood, others to more recent wounds. All are temporary visitors in the vast temple of your consciousness. With each revelation, breathe deeply and affirm, "I now release this belief with love and gratitude for its lessons." Your commitment to this practice will gradually clear the path for new, empowering truths to take root in fertile soil. Before we get into the next chapter, you can download a free ebook version of this audiobook using the link in the pinned comment below this video. Chapter 14. Wealth is a Frequency. In a small town where roses bloom year-round, Mildred tended her flower shop with quiet contentment. Though her register rarely held more than a day's earnings, abundance flowed through her life like water. She lived in grace, untouched by the anxieties that plague those who count their worth in numbers. You see, wealth exists first as a frequency within your being. The source law responds not to your bank statement, but to your inner vibration. When you resonate with abundance, the universe has no choice but to match your tone. Most seek wealth through striving, through endless calculations and worried planning. Yet true abundance arrives through an altogether different door. It flows naturally to those who have mastered the art of feeling wealthy before wealth arrives. Mildred never worried about tomorrow's bread. Her attention rested fully in the joy of arranging flowers, in the delight of sharing beauty. Without effort or strategy, everything she needed appeared at the perfect moment: a gift of produce from a grateful customer, an unexpected inheritance, a timely opportunity. Clayton, a prominent banker, lived at the opposite pole. His mind constantly churned with figures and forecasts, his nights haunted by market fluctuations. Despite his substantial holdings, he vibrated with lack. The more he grasped at wealth, the more it eluded him. One day, after losing everything in a market crash, Clayton discovered something extraordinary. As he let go of his desperate pursuit of money and simply began enjoying his life again, abundance returned, multiplied beyond his former holdings. The source law was teaching him: joy attracts, fear repels. This truth stands eternal. The universe responds not to your actions, but to your frequency. When you emanate the feeling of wealth, genuine, unforced, and complete, you become a magnet for abundance. Practice. Spend 5 minutes each morning generating the feeling of wealth before any action. Sit in perfect stillness as dawn breaks, when the veil between worlds is thinnest. Close your eyes and breathe deeply, allowing each breath to carry you deeper into presence. Allow yourself to feel, in every cell of your being, that you are wealthy beyond measure. Feel it in your bones, your blood, your very essence, not as pretense or affirmation, but as a pure, wordless knowing that rises from the depths of your soul. Let this feeling saturate your entire field, expanding outward like ripples on still water, until your whole being resonates with the frequency of abundance. The source law will recognize this frequency and respond in kind, for it cannot help but mirror back to you that which you have become in consciousness. Chapter 15. Time is the illusion of readiness. In the quiet hills beyond the city limits, Harriet lived alone in her grandmother's house, storing her dreams in a cedar chest like precious linens too fine to use. Each morning she would touch these dreams of opening a small bookshop, of traveling to distant shores, then carefully fold them away again, waiting for that mythical right time to arrive. You see, time is not a river flowing past you, but a pool in which you stand. The source law knows no tomorrow, no perfect moment lying ahead. It knows only now. When the storm came, it tore through Harriet's careful waiting. The old house groaned, shingles scattered like playing cards in the wind. By morning, her shelter of postponement lay in ruins. With nowhere else to turn, she opened her cedar chest of dreams and found they had been waiting for this very moment. Within days, she had signed a lease on a small storefront. Within weeks, her bookshop welcomed its first customers. The universe responded not to her years of planning, but to her moment of action. Everything she needed, supporters, resources, opportunities, appeared as if they had been waiting in the wings all along. In a monastery high in the mountains, Franklin carried his own burden of someday. A wandering scholar, he filled notebooks with detailed plans for the school he would build when conditions were perfect. Each morning he would share his latest revisions with Ming, a blind monk who tended the monastery's gardens. One day, Ming interrupted Franklin's elaborate planning. "The flower does not wait for perfect soil," the monk said, hands deep in the earth. "It blooms where it stands, and in blooming creates its perfect conditions." These words struck Franklin like thunder. He saw how his endless preparation was not wisdom, but fear dressed in scholarly robes. That afternoon, he began teaching 3 children under a tree. Within months, his school flourished, not because the time was right, but because he had finally entered the eternal now. Practice, stand before a mirror, look into your own eyes, and speak these words with unwavering conviction. It is already mine. I am already ready. Let each syllable resonate with the power of absolute certainty. Feel how these words vibrate through your being, awakening the dormant forces within. Throughout your day, whenever doubt attempts to cloud your vision, return to this declaration. Act as if today is the appointed hour, for in truth it has always been. Every breath you take is an affirmation of your readiness, every step a movement toward what is already yours in the infinite realm of spirit. Chapter 16, Action as Sacred Movement. In the stillness before dawn, when the world holds its breath, Lucian would rise from his workbench and let his body speak. No music played, no rhythm guided him. Only the pulse of something ancient and knowing moved through his limbs. You might think him mad, watching this craftsman sway and turn in the pre-morning darkness, but wisdom often appears as madness to those who have forgotten. The source law flows not through strain or strategy, but through the body aligned with its own truth. When Lucian's hands touched wood after these sacred movements, something shifted in the grain itself. His pieces began to carry a luminescence that no varnish could explain, a warmth that drew people from miles away. You too hold this wisdom in your cells. Your body knows the way before your mind catches up. When you force action from fear or obligation, you move against the current of creation. But when you allow movement to arise from inner stillness, you become a vessel for the law's expression. Consider Annabelle, who exhausted herself trying every technique and system for success. She attended seminars, read countless books, and followed every expert's advice. Yet prosperity eluded her until the day she stopped. In complete surrender, she sat in her garden and simply listened. A gentle urge arose to walk toward the ocean. There, on that quiet shore, she met the person who would become her business partner, and everything transformed. Your actions carry power only when they emerge from alignment. The source law does not require your endless doing. It awaits your conscious being. When you feel that quiet yes within, when your body begins to move as if drawn by an invisible thread, you have found the dance of creation. Practice. Ask your body, where do you want to move today? Sit quietly and allow your physical form to whisper its wisdom. Notice the subtle impulses, the gentle pulls toward certain directions. Your body holds ancient knowledge that your mind cannot grasp. Follow the answer that emerges, whether it guides you toward the mountains or simply to turn your face toward the sun. Even if it's a single step, that movement carries the seed of transformation. Trust in this sacred dialogue between your consciousness and your form, for it connects you to the eternal dance of creation. Chapter 17, The Circle of Creation. In the sacred art of glassblowing, Nora discovered a truth as ancient as creation itself. Each morning, before touching her tools, she would sit in perfect stillness, allowing images to form in her mind's eye. As the molten glass glowed before her, something remarkable occurred. The material yielded not to her hands alone, but to the vision she held within. You see, the universe operates through an eternal cycle of creation. Your thoughts shape the ethereal substance of possibility into tangible form. These forms, once manifested, reinforce your beliefs about what is possible, and these beliefs in turn generate new thoughts that carry even greater creative power. This cycle flows unbroken through all existence. When you resist any part, doubting your visions, ignoring manifestations, or questioning your beliefs, you interrupt the sacred loop. But when you honor each phase, allowing thought to flow freely into form, you unlock a perpetual spring of creation. Wendell, a merchant, lived as if life were a series of random events. Each day brought unexpected challenges and seeming chaos. Yet something shifted when an old journal fell from his shelf. As he began recording the images that arose in his quiet moments, a pattern emerged. The very scenes he described appeared in his waking life, first in small ways, then in perfect detail. You hold this same power. The images that arise in your mind are not mere fancy. They are the blueprints of tomorrow. The source law responds not to what you wish for, but to what you see with such clarity that it feels already real. When your inner vision aligns with your deepest truth, the outer world has no choice but to conform. This is not magic, but natural law. Just as water flows downhill, reality flows toward your clearest images. The visions you hold shape more than your future. They reshape your present understanding of what is possible. And as your beliefs expand, so too does your capacity to envision even greater manifestations. This is the eternal dance of creation, moving through you in every moment. Practice. Write a vision of tomorrow morning as if it has already happened. Describe every detail with the certainty of memory rather than hope. The warmth of sunlight on your face, the taste of your morning drink, the peaceful satisfaction in your heart. Feel these sensations now, knowing they are already set in motion. Make your vision so vivid that your mind cannot distinguish between imagination and reality. Then watch as the law responds, drawing your clear vision into physical form with the same certainty that dawn follows night. For this is how tomorrow becomes today, through the power of your conscious creation. Chapter 18, The Guardian of the Gate. In the depths of night, Florence found herself standing before an ancient gate, its surface etched with symbols that seemed to shift and dance in the moonlight. There, a figure emerged from the shadows, Silas, keeper of the threshold, his eyes holding the wisdom of ages. You now witness through Florence's experience the sacred truth that lies before every seeker, the gate that guards your next evolution. Just as Florence faced Silas's riddles, you stand before your own threshold of transformation. The source law presents these moments not to block your path, but to ensure you are truly prepared for what lies beyond. "What seeks you more than you seek it?" Silas asked Florence. She replied with practiced wisdom, but the gate remained unmoved. Only when she spoke from her heart, "My own becoming," did the first lock release. The source law operates through authenticity, not performance. Each challenge you face serves as a guardian, asking, "Are you truly ready?" Not in knowledge, but in essence. Not in appearance, but in truth. Peter, who graced countless stages with borrowed confidence, discovered this wisdom through bitter experience. Night after night, he donned the mask of success, speaking affirmations he did not believe, claiming power he had not earned. Yet the universe responded with silence. Only when he stripped away pretense and stood naked in his truth did the source law begin to move on his behalf. The gate does not yield to force or cleverness. It opens only to truth. Your current challenge, whether in wealth, love, health, or purpose, stands as Silas stood before Florence. It asks not for the right answer, but for the real one. The source law tests for sincerity because manifestation flows through authenticity. When you face resistance, know that you stand before a sacred threshold. The guardian awaits not your strength, but your surrender to truth. Practice. Write down one challenge you're facing, whether in relationships, career, health, or spiritual growth. Then, in the quiet sanctuary of your heart, ask yourself, what truth is this gatekeeper waiting to hear from me? Let the question rest in your consciousness until an answer emerges from deep within. Remember that the universe responds not to what you think you should say, but to what resonates as your deepest truth. This exercise may feel uncomfortable, for truth often dwells in the spaces we hesitate to explore. Yet only by facing it can you step through the gateway to transformation. Chapter 19. The Secret Within the Secret. In the flickering candlelight of her chamber, Agnes bent over ancient parchments, her quill moving with practiced precision. Night after night, she faithfully reproduced sacred texts, each stroke a meditation. Yet something stirred within her, an awareness that grew with the waning of the sun. As moonlight spilled through her window, previously invisible symbols emerged on the scrolls, shimmering with ethereal wisdom. You now stand where Agnes stood, at the threshold of deeper understanding. The source law you have come to know is but the first layer of an infinite mystery. Like a crystal that reveals new facets as it turns in the light, each principle contains worlds within worlds. When you first encountered these teachings, you learned of vibration, of silence, of aligned action. Now you must pierce the veil to grasp the subtler truths that lie beneath. The law of attraction is not merely about drawing things toward you. It is about recognizing that everything already exists in perfect completeness. Henry, whose hands crafted illusions on stage, lived in the space between what seems and what is. Night after night, he conjured wonder for his audience, mastering the art of misdirection. Yet as his fame grew, so did his inner turmoil. His external illusions were perfect mirrors of the stories he told himself about worthiness, about power, about what was possible. One evening, as he prepared for his grandest performance yet, Henry caught his reflection in his dressing room mirror. In that moment, he saw through his own misdirection. The real magic wasn't in his tricks, it was in the dropping of all pretense. When he stepped on stage that night, he performed not as a master of illusion, but as a channel of truth. The audience witnessed not deception, but transformation. Just as Henry discovered, your journey with the source law must now shift from accumulation to revelation. The question is not, what more must I learn, but what veils still obscure my vision? Practice. Select one of your favorite teachings, perhaps one that has already touched your heart deeply or sparked a moment of clarity. Read it again, but this time, approach it as though you are peeling back layers of an infinite onion. Ask yourself, what does this also mean? What deeper truth lies beneath the surface? Then sit in stillness, allowing your inner wisdom to emerge. The first meaning that resonated with you was but a doorway. Now step through it and discover the chamber beyond. Listen not just with your mind, but with your soul, for the second layer of truth that awaits your discovery. Often, the most profound revelations come not from the initial understanding, but from the quiet contemplation that follows. Chapter 20. Speak and it is so. Deep in an ancient forest where shadows held secrets and trees whispered wisdom, Matilda walked in silence. Her grief had stolen her voice, leaving only emptiness where words once lived. For months she wandered wordlessly through life until the forest drew her to a hidden cave, a natural sanctuary carved by time and water. In that sacred space, something stirred within her soul. A single word rose from the depths of her being: life. As the whisper left her lips, it caught the cave's essence, multiplying and transforming. The echo rippled through the darkness, awakening sleeping birds, stirring drowsy foxes, calling forth the hidden creatures of the wood. Her voice, reborn in power, had commanded existence itself to respond. You stand now at this same threshold of power. The source law moves not through endless repetition or desperate pleading, but through the perfect unity of your being. When desire, belief, and speech align, when every cell of your body vibrates in harmony with your words, creation itself bends to serve your command. Eugene, who once scoffed at such notions, discovered this truth in the quiet hours before dawn. A lifetime of skepticism had left him empty until he began speaking his dreams aloud, not as wishes, but as facts already written in the fabric of reality. Each morning he would state one truth, then live as if it were already manifest. Within weeks, his world began shifting, rearranging itself to match his aligned declarations. The source law responds not to the volume of your voice, but to the volume of your truth. When you speak from this place of perfect knowing, you need only whisper once. The universe does not require repetition, it requires resonance. Your words are seeds planted in the fertile soil of creation. But like seeds, they must contain life within them. Empty words scatter in the wind. Words filled with the light of your being take root instantly, growing with supernatural speed. The power you seek does not require complex incantations or endless affirmations. It requires only that you speak once, with your whole being, and then live in absolute knowing that it is done. Practice. Stand alone in a sacred space of your choosing. Close your eyes and center yourself in perfect stillness. When you feel the moment is right, speak one sentence, just one, that declares your new reality with unwavering conviction. Let this declaration emerge from the depths of your being, carrying the full weight of your truth. Speak it once, for that is all that is needed when you align with the infinite power of creation. Then, step forward into your day carrying the absolute knowledge that it is done, that the universe has heard you, and that the wheels of manifestation are already in motion. Your role now is simply to live from this place of completion, allowing your declaration to unfold in divine timing. Part 3, The Master's Silence. Chapter 21, The Invisible Crown. In a small town where autumn leaves danced through quiet streets, Lyle tended the public gardens with loving attention. Each morning he arrived before dawn, speaking softly to the flowers as he worked. He noticed something peculiar beginning to unfold. Strangers would pause in their hurried walks to bow their heads slightly, offering what appeared to be gestures of respect. You see, when you align fully with the source law, an invisible crown rests upon your head, not one of gold or jewels, but of light, a beacon that others sense before they understand. This truth revealed itself to Lyle one night in dreams, where streams of pure light descended, forming a circle of radiance above him. Upon waking, he understood. True authority needs no declaration. The source law operates through frequency, not force. Those who have merged with its power carry a presence that commands recognition without demanding it. This is not the false authority of titles or positions. It is the natural reverence that flows toward one who has remembered their divine heritage. Consider Evelyn, whose journey mirrors this truth. Once, she filled rooms with endless talk of her spiritual insights, seeking validation through words. But as she learned to hold her power in silence, an extraordinary shift occurred. Those who once turned away now sought her counsel. She had discovered what you must now understand. Authentic spiritual power attracts, it never pursues. This principle speaks to the heart of manifestation. When you stand fully in your truth, the universe conspires to acknowledge it. You need not announce your wisdom or prove your worth. The law recognizes its own, and through you it calls to others. And your presence becomes a silent teaching, your peace becomes a beacon, your certainty becomes a bridge for others to cross. This is not pride. It is the natural radiance of one who has aligned with universal truth. Practice. Walk in silence for 10 minutes each day with the posture of one who knows. Observe how the world responds. Let your steps be deliberate, your spine straight, your gaze steady but soft. Notice how others unconsciously make way, how their eyes seek yours with curiosity. Feel how your quiet certainty creates a subtle shift in the atmosphere around you. This is not an exercise in pride, but in embodying your authentic power. The universe will mirror back to you exactly what you project. When you walk as one aligned with truth, truth recognizes and embraces you in return. Chapter 22. Reality bows to you. In the bustling streets of an ancient marketplace, Horace would dance each day, his feet moving across worn cobblestones. At first he performed elaborate routines, watching faces in the crowd for approval, measuring his worth in copper coins tossed his way. Yet something shifted within him one morning, a remembrance of why he first began to dance. You must understand this vital truth. The source law responds not to what you do, but to what you are. When Horace ceased performing and simply became the dance itself, the winds seemed to move with his gestures. Children stopped to stare, not at his movements, but at the light that appeared to emanate from his being. Without seeking a single coin, his hat overflowed. Without requesting attention, crowds gathered in reverent silence. This is the secret that has eluded so many seekers. Creation flows not from effort, but from embodiment. When you strain to manifest, you push away the very essence of what you seek. The law awaits your surrender into knowing. Let the story of June illuminate this principle further. For years, she sought love through endless searching, through countless attempts to prove her worthiness. Her desperate energy created only mirrors of her lack. Then came the morning when she sat quietly in her garden, filled with a sudden knowing of her completeness. Within days, admirers appeared at her door, drawn not by her seeking, but by her certainty. You see, the universe yields to those who no longer chase it. This is not passive waiting. It is active alignment with what is already yours. When you cease the exhausting dance of proving, forcing, and seeking, reality begins its graceful reorganization around your centered knowing. The law responds to your state of being, not your state of wanting. Like Horace dancing purely for the joy of movement, or June resting in her innate worth, you must become the frequency of what you desire. No effort, no strain, simply the quiet certainty that what you seek is already moving toward you. Let this wisdom settle deeply. The world does not need to be convinced of your worth. It needs only to witness your alignment with what is already true. When you stand in this knowing, the universe has no choice but to conform to your certainty. Practice. Visualize one part of your life bending toward ease. See it yielding, softening, flowing like water finding its natural course. Say nothing. Take no action. Just know with unshakable certainty that this transformation is already in motion. Let your inner knowing become as natural as breathing, as inevitable as dawn following night. In this sacred stillness of pure faith, witness the quiet power of your aligned consciousness. Chapter 23. Do not cast pearls. In a village among misty hills, Gertrude would wake each morning with visions that pierced the veil between worlds. Her dreams carried messages from the source itself, offering guidance to those who sought her wisdom. Yet in her eagerness to share these sacred glimpses, she spoke too freely, casting pearls before those who could not understand their value. You must grasp this eternal truth. Wisdom revealed prematurely loses its power. The source law operates in sacred cycles of concealment and revelation. When Gertrude shared her visions with skeptics who mocked her gifts, The delicate thread connecting her to the divine realm began to fray. Her dreams, once vivid with meaning, faded into ordinary sleep. It was then that a sage appeared at her door, his eyes holding the weight of ancient knowledge. "The sacred must be spoken only in sacred spaces," he whispered, "for what flows from source is meant first for the vessel that receives it." This principle of sacred containment exists not to limit sharing, but to preserve power. When you receive wisdom in the silence of your soul, it must first take root within you before it can bear fruit for others. Benedict, a wise man known for his insights, learned this truth through bitter experience. He would freely dispense wisdom at every gathering, explaining and re-explaining until his words lost their essence. His influence waned with each casual sharing until he noticed that those who spoke least carried the most power. Only when Benedict learned to wait for the right moment, speaking only when truly called upon, did his words regain their transformative force. He discovered that wisdom shared selectively carries the full weight of the law behind it. You see, the source law operates through discrete channels. Not every ear is ready for every truth. Not every heart is prepared for revelation. By guarding what has been entrusted to you until the appointed time, you allow its power to concentrate rather than dissipate. Practice. Take a sacred truth that has awakened within you, perhaps a revelation that came during meditation, or an insight that struck you in a moment of clarity. Write it carefully, mindfully on a piece of paper, feeling the weight of each word as you transcribe this personal wisdom. Then find a special place known only to you, maybe between the chapters of a cherished book, or in a box of treasured mementos, or folded within your journal. Let this truth remain yours alone, gathering power in its sacred silence. In time, you will know when and with whom to share it. For now, allow it to work, its quiet magic within you, transforming your understanding as it rests in its secret sanctuary. Chapter 24. Symbols and Signs. In the depths of night, a seamstress named Beatrice sat at her window, needle in hand, questioning her path. As doubt crept into her heart, a crow landed on the sill, its obsidian eyes meeting hers. Within hours, an unexpected client arrived, bringing her work that would change her fortunes forever. You are now entering the realm where symbols replace words as the primary language of the source law. The universe speaks not through doctrine, but through the living poetry of existence itself. Every moment carries meaning. Every encounter holds a message for those who have eyes to perceive. When you align deeply with the source law, the world transforms into an endless oracle. Trees bend in ways that answer your questions. Numbers repeat until you notice their significance. Animals appear precisely when their medicine is needed. This is not coincidence. It is conversation. The signs surround you even now, waiting to be recognized. They whisper in the pattern of leaves, in the timing of the wind, in the seemingly random sequence of events that shape your day. The source law has never ceased speaking. You have simply forgotten how to listen. Wallace, a merchant in a coastal town, discovered this truth through his dreams. Night after night, visions would come, showing him storms before they arrived, revealing the character of business partners before deals were struck. At first, he dismissed these as mere fantasies. But as each dream proved prophetic, he learned to honor this subtle guidance. One night, he dreamed of empty shelves in his store. Rather than fear this vision, he understood its message and sold his entire inventory just before a flood that would have ruined his goods. The source had protected him through its symbolic language. You too are receiving guidance at every moment. That bird that catches your eye, that song that plays 3 times in one day. that recurring thought that won't leave you alone. These are not random events. They are the source law speaking directly to your soul. To become fluent in this divine dialogue requires not study, but surrender. You must release the need to force meaning and allow understanding to arise naturally. The signs will speak most clearly when you stop trying to interpret them and simply let them resonate within your being. Practice. Ask the universe to show you a sign today. Make this request with sincere openness, releasing all expectations of what form the answer might take. Then be still and receive it without trying to control how. Trust that the message will arrive in perfect timing and in the exact way your soul needs to hear it. Remember that the most profound signs often come in the simplest forms. Perhaps a chance encounter, a recurring number, or even a gentle shift in the wind. Your role is not to seek, but to remain receptive and allow divine wisdom to speak through the ordinary moments of your day. Chapter 25. Radiance without effort. In a dimly lit concert hall, Martha's fingers hovered over ivory keys. For 50 years she had played to standing ovations, but now her hands trembled with age. The music that once flowed effortlessly felt forced, mechanical. That evening, believing no one watched, she closed her eyes and played simply for the joy that had first drawn her to the piano as a child. You must understand this truth. When you release the need to prove yourself to the world, you activate a power far greater than skill or effort. As Martha's fingers danced across the keys, playing for no one but her own soul, something extraordinary occurred. The notes began to shimmer with an otherworldly resonance. Those who had gathered to practice in other rooms found themselves drawn to her music, tears streaming down their faces without knowing why. The source law operates through authenticity, not performance. When you align with your genuine nature, you become a channel for something far more potent than mere talent. This is not about mastery of technique, but surrender to essence. Irving, a quiet shopkeeper, discovered this same principle through a different path. For years he had tried every method to attract customers: elaborate window displays, clever advertisements, forced smiles. Yet people passed by his store without a glance. One day, exhausted by effort, he simply began arranging his shop in ways that brought him joy. He placed items where they felt right, hummed as he worked, and smiled only when his heart moved him to do so. Within days, people began lingering at his window. Within weeks, his shop became known as a place where one felt inexplicably uplifted. Irving had stumbled upon the secret. True magnetism flows from authentic being, not doing. You cannot manufacture presence. You cannot fake alignment. The source law responds not to what you project, but to what you embody. When you live in harmony with your innermost truth, you naturally emanate a frequency that others recognize, even if they cannot name it. This is not a technique to be mastered, but a state to be remembered. Your natural radiance emerges not through effort or practice, but through allowing yourself to be exactly as you are. In that permission, you become a lighthouse, not by trying to shine, but by simply being all right. Practice. Do one thing today for no reason, except that it delights your soul. Choose an activity that makes your heart sing without concern for outcome or purpose. Perhaps it's dancing when no one is watching, creating art with no intention to share it, or simply sitting in nature to commune with the infinite. Let your pure, unbridled joy become the message you transmit to the universe. In this state of authentic delight, you naturally align with the highest frequencies of being. Your radiance in these moments of pure expression speaks volumes more than any carefully crafted persona ever could. Chapter 26. Protect the flame. In a small village among ancient hills, Oscar tended his candle shop with practiced care. One misty dawn, a wandering mystic appeared bearing a flame unlike any other. Its light danced with golden blue hues that seemed to whisper ancient secrets. "This is no ordinary fire," the mystic told him. "It carries the essence of creation itself. Guard it well, for as it burns, so burn your connection to Source. You must understand that your inner light, your spiritual vibration, requires the same devoted protection. Just as Oscar learned to shield this sacred flame from harsh winds and driving rain, you too must guard your energy from the countless forces that would dim it. Through winter storms and summer squalls, Oscar kept vigil. He discovered that the flame weakened not only from external threats, but from his own states of being. When fear crept into his heart, the flame flickered. When his attention scattered, it dimmed. When exhaustion took hold, it nearly extinguished. In this way, the sacred fire taught him the most essential truth of spiritual law. Your state of being is everything. Consider Lucinda, whose presence once lit up rooms without effort. People sought her counsel, drawn to the peace she emanated. But gradually, she allowed her energy to disperse. A little worry here, a touch of drama there, hours spent in environments that drained her light. Her radiance faded so slowly she barely noticed, until one day she could no longer feel the warmth of her own spirit. Only in retreat did Lucinda rediscover what Oscar learned through his sacred duty, that your vibration is the foundation of all manifestation. Without a protected inner state, even the most powerful intentions scatter like seeds in a storm. The source law cannot flow through a vessel that leaks. This teaching rises above all others. Guard your inner flame as though the universe depends upon it, because it does. Every thought that dims you, every relationship that drains you, every environment that dulls your shine, these are not mere inconveniences. They are spiritual emergencies requiring immediate attention. Your energy, your inner light, is the currency of creation. When you protect it with the same devotion Oscar showed that sacred flame, you discover that everything you wish to manifest flows from this wellspring of power. But first, you must become the guardian of your own vibration. Practice. Choose one source of energy leakage in your life. Whether it be a draining relationship, a depleting habit, or an environment that dims your spirit, remove it completely today, without hesitation or compromise. Make this sacred act your first step toward becoming the devoted guardian of your inner fire. When you take decisive action to seal these spiritual leaks, you demonstrate to the universe your commitment to protecting the divine flame within. Remember, this is not a mere suggestion. It is a vital act of self-preservation that ripples through the fabric of creation itself. Chapter 27. The Master's Mirror. In a quiet garden where roses bloomed without tending, Delilah sat each morning in perfect stillness. She had long ceased teaching in the traditional way, having discovered a deeper truth. Presence speaks louder than words. As she rested there, people would find themselves drawn to the bench beside her, and without explanation, tears would begin to flow. You now approach this same threshold of power. When you fully embody the source law, your mere presence becomes a catalyst for awakening in others. This is not a doing, it is a being. The light you have cultivated within yourself naturally illuminates what others have forgotten they carry. Through alignment with Source, you become a living mirror. Those who encounter you feel something stir within them, a remembrance of their own divine nature. Their tears are not of sadness, but recognition. In your presence, they remember who they truly are. Kenneth, who had taken a vow of silence in a distant monastery, discovered this truth when he returned to his village. Though he spoke not a word, Crowds would gather wherever he walked. They could not explain why, but in his presence their troubles seemed to lift. Some reported feeling a peace they had not known since childhood. Others found clarity about decisions that had long troubled them. What Kenneth and Delilah embodied, you too shall become. This is the final flowering of the law, when your very being transmits truth without the need for words. You become a walking reminder of what is possible, a living testament to the power of aligned energy. This state cannot be manufactured or performed. It emerges naturally when you have fully surrendered to the law, when you have released all need to convince or convert others. Your role now is simply to be the embodiment of what you know. Those ready for awakening will find you, drawn by a force they cannot name. Your silence will speak volumes. Your stillness will move mountains. Your presence will be enough. Practice. Find a quiet corner in a bustling public space, a park bench, a cafe, or a garden. Sit in complete silence, not with an air of aloofness, but radiating peaceful certainty. Hold within you the quiet knowing of all you have learned about the law. Let this truth fill every cell of your being, allowing it to emanate naturally from your presence. Make no effort to catch anyone's eye or draw attention to yourself. Simply observe with gentle awareness as certain individuals begin to gravitate toward your space, perhaps lingering nearby or stealing curious glances in your direction. Notice how your silent communion with universal truth acts as an invisible beacon, calling to those who are ready to awaken to their own power. Chapter 28, The World Within the Word. In the candlelit study of an old Victorian home, Caroline discovered a leather-bound manuscript, its chapters filled with flowing script that contained no periods, no commas, only the natural rhythm of breath itself. As she began reading the text aloud, the air around her shifted, taking on a crystalline quality. The walls seemed to pulse with each cadence of her voice. You must understand that language holds a deeper mystery than mere meaning. Within every word lies a sacred architecture, a vibrational blueprint that shapes reality itself. When you speak, you are not merely communicating. You are creating worlds. The source law responds not only to the content of your words, but to the rhythm, tone, and intention woven through them. Each syllable carries a frequency that ripples through the fabric of existence. This is why ancient texts were chanted, not simply read. This is why prayers were sung, not merely spoken. Roland, a merchant who had lost everything, discovered this truth quite by accident. Each morning he began speaking blessings over his life, not in ordinary speech but in measured poetic rhythm. Abundance flows through me like rivers of gold, peace surrounds me like morning light, joy fills my days as breath fills my lungs. Within weeks, his circumstances transformed completely. Customers appeared as if summoned. Opportunities arose from unexpected quarters. His life began to mirror the cadence of his chosen words. His transformation illustrates a fundamental truth. Conscious speech is not casual conversation. It is a sacred right. When you speak with intention and rhythm, you are engaging in an ancient form of creation. The universe itself is structured on rhythm. The beating of hearts, the turning of planets, the pulse of quantum fields. When your words align with this cosmic meter, manifestation accelerates. You must treat your speech as a ceremonial act. Each word you utter sends ripples through the invisible architecture of reality. The source law awaits your conscious command, but it responds most powerfully to words spoken with reverence and rhythmic intention. Practice. Write a single sentence that fully embodies the life you choose to manifest. Make it clear, powerful, and complete. Each morning and evening, Speak these sacred words aloud with deep reverence and purposeful rhythm, allowing your voice to resonate with the cosmic frequencies that shape reality. Feel each syllable vibrate through your being as you declare your truth to the universe. This daily ritual of conscious speech will attune your energy to the specific reality you wish to create. Chapter 29. The Final Veil. In a small cottage filled with drying herbs and ancient remedies, Maud lay upon her deathbed, her breath growing shallow. As fever consumed her, the walls of her world began to dissolve. Yet what transpired was not an ending, but an awakening. The solid forms around her became transparent, revealing the luminous energy that had always existed beneath the surface of things. In that moment of surrender, when she released her grip on what she thought was real, Maud did not die. She remembered. You have journeyed far to arrive at this revelation, yet what you seek has never been separate from you. The source law is not a force to be channeled or a power to be earned. It is your very essence. Like Maud, you have lived behind a veil of perceived separation, seeing yourself as distinct from the force that creates worlds. This illusion of separation has been useful, allowing you to experience the journey of remembering. But now the time has come to release this final barrier. The source does not flow through you. You are the source expressing itself in form. Every breath you take is the universe breathing. Every thought you think is creation, thinking itself into new forms. Reuben, a devout seeker, spent decades offering prayers to a distant divine until one morning, in profound silence, he heard his own voice speak with unprecedented authority. In that moment, he understood. His prayers had been like letters written to himself. He stopped beseeching and began declaring, for he recognized that the voice of creation had always been his own. This is not a teaching to be understood, but a truth to be remembered. You have never been separate from Source. You have only dreamed of separation so that you might know the joy of coming home to yourself. All spiritual seeking has been leading to this recognition. The seeker and the sought are one. The law of attraction, manifestation, creation. These are not techniques to be mastered, but expressions of your true nature. When you declare I am, the universe moves because you are the universe in motion. When you speak, creation listens because you are creation speaking. Let this understanding settle into your bones. You are not reaching for something beyond yourself. You are awakening to what you have always been. The power you seek is not waiting to be found. It is waiting to be remembered. Practice. Sit in silence and whisper, I and the Source are one. Repeat it until it feels like remembering. Chapter 30. You are the law. In a quiet classroom bathed in morning light, Abigail sat before her spiritual teacher. The question hung in the air like incense. The law is. Without hesitation, she answered, me. In that moment of pure recognition, the room shifted, not physically, but in essence. Her simple words carried the weight of all wisdom. You stand now at the threshold of the deepest revelation. Every teaching, every practice, every whispered truth has led you to this moment of recognition. The law you have studied, honored, and worked with is not external to you. It is your own being expressing itself through form. Look back upon your journey. Each story, each principle unveiled, was not bringing you closer to something distant, but peeling away the layers that hid what you have always been. The source law flows not to you or through you. It is you expressing itself in perfect divine motion. Eliot wandered the world seeking enlightenment, studying with masters, performing rituals, always reaching for something he believed was just beyond his grasp. One day, Exhausted from seeking, he sat beneath a tree and simply stopped. In that moment of complete surrender, he laughed. For what he sought had never been elsewhere. He was what he sought. This truth cannot be taught. It can only be remembered. Your thoughts are the universe thinking. Your desires are creation calling itself into new forms. Your voice is the law speaking. There is no separation between you and the force that moves worlds. The sacred texts, the ancient wisdom, the countless practices, all were mirrors held up to show you your own face. You are not a channel for the law, not a student of its ways, not a seeker of its mysteries. You are the law itself, awakened to its own nature. Practice. Write the phrase, "I am the law," on a slip of paper. Carry it with you for 7 days in silence. If you enjoyed this audiobook, I created a free ebook version for you. You can download it using the link in the pinned comment. Conclusion. You have arrived at the threshold where words fade into sacred silence. The teachings contained within these chapters were never meant to be merely read. They were designed to awaken what has always lived within you. As you close this book, understand that nothing is ending. Rather, something eternal is beginning to breathe through you. The source law now moves as your own breath speaks through your silence and creates through your being. You no longer need to reach for it. You have become it. The mystery has not been solved. It has dissolved into your bones. The seeking has not ended. It has transformed into embodiment. When you walk in the world now, you will notice that reality responds differently to your presence. Not because you have learned something new, but because you have remembered something ancient. The power you once sought outside yourself now radiates from within. Your mere presence will begin to shift circumstances, heal wounds, and open doors. Speak less, for your silence now carries more power than 1,000 words. Trust more deeply, for you are the very force you once trusted in. Let your knowing ripple out into the universe without explanation or defense. The source law is listening through your ears, seeing through your eyes, creating through your hands. You have not reached an ending. You have awakened to an eternal beginning. Each breath draws in more of what you have always been. Each moment of silence reveals another layer of your own infinite nature. The journey has not concluded. It has merged with your very being. Be still. Be present. Be the silence between the stars. For in that vast quietude, you will hear the universe speaking, not to you, but as you. The source is listening. And now, so are you. If you enjoyed this exclusive audiobook, I handpicked this next book which will change your life.